First of all, Ms. Durham, I apologize for the personal attacks that have been leveled upon you by from sources on the other side of the aisle. This is what they do. This is how they argue. So we've gotten used to it, and I hope you will too at some point. The central charge in the Russian collusion hoax was that Trump campaign operatives were in contact with Russian intelligence sources. Were Clinton campaign operatives in contact with Russian intelligence sources?
That's beyond the scope of our report. I can only speak to the former, and the former is there was no such evidence. As we report in the report, there was
was Danchenko a Russian intelligence source?
Mr. Danchenko had been investigated by the FBI for espionage. They closed the case when they mistakenly thought he had left the country. Mr. Danchenko's status in connection with that espionage matter was never resolved by the Bureau. The Bureau, in fact, never opened it.
And he was the source for much of the Steele dossier.
He said that he was responsible for 80% of the intelligence in the dossier
and
50%
commissioned
of the analysis.
Who commissioned the Steele dossier?
The Steele dossier was done by Fusion GPS, who was hired by Perkins Coie, who represented the Clinton campaign. And
so what role did the Clinton campaign play in this hoax?
I'm sorry, did they play?
What role did the Clinton campaign play in this hoax?
The Clinton campaign funded the work, the opposition research that was done by Fusion GPS, and GPS paid Mr. Steele for the dossier.
And who in the Clinton campaign approved that relationship?
Well, we lay some of that out in the report. I think it was Mr. Elias, who was general counsel to the campaign, who engaged the services of Fusion GPS.
Mr. Jordan referenced the Clinton plan intelligence. Exactly what was the Clinton plan?
Based on declassified documents in the public record, there was intelligence information that was received at virtually the same time that the information came from the Australians, I mean, within a day or two. That intelligence included information that there was a purported plan designed by one of Mrs. Clinton's foreign policy advisors to create a scandal tying Donald Trump to the Russians. That's the essence of the intelligence as contained in the declassified information.
Did the president receive this intelligence?
On August 3rd of 2016, then Director Brennan had briefed the president, vice president, director of national intelligence, the FBI, the attorney general, and others.
When you say the FBI, you mean Mr. Comey?
He had, on August 3rd, it was conducted at the White House. It was Director Comey himself.
So Mr. Comey knew about this. President Obama knew about this. Vice President Biden knew about this. But it wasn't provided to the agents on the case or provided to the secret FISA court. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Why wasn't it?
No, we can tell you what the facts are. People can draw their own conclusions from that.
About the Papadopoulos comments at the bar that were used as justification for this whole thing, what would the FBI have learned had it looked into this information honestly?
If before opening Crossfire Hurricane they had checked their own files and communicated with other intelligence agencies and the like, they would have found that there was nothing at that time in their files that would corroborate the information, the suggestion of a suggestion that the Russians might provide some kind of assistance. There's nothing in their files that would corroborate that.
The Steele dossier was entered in the congressional record. Was it true?
I'm sorry, the Steele dossier?
The Steele dossier was entered into our congressional record. Was it true?
There is not a single substantive piece of information in the dossier that has ever been corroborated by the FBI or, to my knowledge, anyone else.
You mentioned that the FISA court criticized the misleading and false information that was used to request the FISA warrants, but did the FISA court hold anyone in contempt for that?
Not to my knowledge.
Did they apply any sanctions to anyone responsible for that?
Not to my knowledge. They issued,
Did they
you know,
even yell at anybody?
They issued an appropriately harsh memo talking about what the expectation is when a document is submitted to that court, that it be truthful and accurate and complete. And that was the expectation, is the expectation.